people say sports are easy to follow because there's a ball, right? If you're watching football, you can follow the ball. If you're watching hockey, you can follow the puck, right? But with this meta, AD carries being so strong, playing through it, it's like there are two balls. You know where they are at every moment. You watch every fight, and you're like, okay, I know exactly where we need to put our eyes. And watching Duckdom kite back and have some impressive performances there, watching Diablo chunk but maybe overextend was really fun. Where the other 8 players are kind of just here trying to stop the trains from rolling in. And this meta, I don't know, it feels very fun to watch. It feels very clean to watch. As we will see a Nico ban here. This time, DN Supers with first pick. So a flip from what we saw in Game 1. In Game 1, I think they wanted to have that Orianna set up with the Jarvan, even though the combos were not as clean as we would have liked. See what their plan is this time around, as the Malphite was ignored.
Yeah, you know, it was always their issue last year when they really didn't find much success, was that, you know, they could win early games, they could do the laning phase relatively fine. It was more so when it came to team fighting in mid to late, they just had no coordination. And unfortunately, that's what we saw in Game 1, right? We saw them try to utilize one of these duos, these compositions that is relatively easy to play, and yet could not put one decent team fight together. So I do worry for DNS here.
Have you noticed this trend of we leave Orianna Azir up, in Game 1 we trade, Game 2 we do the Rise Talia?
No more Rise Talia, please.
Something a little different here with the Cassante ban. It's still going to be Rise Talia, but with an Ambessa first.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be Rise Talia on the same team with viable Talia jungle. That's what I'm trying to tell you here, Valdez. Now, the Ambessa is a flex, which is really cool for the supers here. They do not have the Pantheon for the Talia since they banned that, so it looks like Wukong Talia is going to be the opt-in, and the Ambessa will go top. This is like the way LCK is played now. Sure, we got Fearless, but we know how this patch works. We know how the tiers go. And so you build a Talia composition that matches the Rise's ability to roam with Realm Warp. The Rise has been winning more often than not, though, and a Bard push up here for Kellen.
Yeah.
I think Bard was a champion. A lot of us thought, okay, only a few players are cultured enough to play here in the LCK, but nowadays, everyone's been putting the hours in. It is just a staple pick, and even someone like Kellen, who's not necessarily known for this pick, can make a big impact.
Yeah, I think when you see what Keria can do on it, and even Ondil nowadays is kind of crazy to say, but Ondil has been kind of our second best Bard. He's been great. I mean, Duro is also pretty good at it, but it just feels like support players had to take notice. You know, they had to look at it and be like, oh, this is what you can do on this champ. I need to learn it as well. And I'm excited to see what Kellen can do on it, as Ezreal once again is going to be banned away from Diablo.
I wonder if he's potentially looking for a Zeri angle here with the Ezreal gone now, because the Nautilus ban just kind of screams that. Take away the Alistar here now as well. It's still open-ended. There's a lot of viable AD carries. We're still only in Game 2 here, but I do wonder what his game plan is going to be. They have a decent front line with the Xin Zhao already. Zeri is relatively safe into the Wukong Ambessa. Ezreal would have been the best, and it is obviously the best pick for Diablo right now in my mind.
Maybe just Corki.
Corki is also very safe.
Yeah.
And has an incredible win rate right now.
I really don't want to see Diablo playing Jhin, so I think Corki just kind of makes sense. You ban away the Ezreal, you go for the Corki. It's just the way it's played here at the LCK oftentimes, is Sivir is going to be locked in here, so Duckdom again going for a hyper carry, as now Rakan will be picked alongside of it to go with the Wukong and their engage.
Diablo needs to be conservative with his Valkyries in this game, because you only have one. And there are a lot of CCs here on the side of the supers to lock him down. But I do think the extra safety that it provides here, as well as the additional threat this Rise is going to be, makes this a little bit easier. Now, this, to me, might be a bridge too far to give clear this Kennen pick in the top lane, just simply because it sets up a lot of potential combos, but you don't really have the other tools to follow up on them very well. It's more like a zoning Kennen, and it will be good in the lane matchup with the range advantage he has there. But once again, I look at these two drafts and I think, wow, DN Supers have a well-rounded one. Yes, I know there's the Talia in the room, and we're all not very happy with how that champ has been doing right now, but it has won a few of the times against the Rise, and They have great
Won
setup for
yesterday,
it.
right?
Yeah, won yesterday as well. And so goes Syndra, much to my chagrin, but probably see that in game 3.
Hell yeah, big fan.
I like the setup here for the Supers because they have the Sivir wave clear in mid. They can play through sides really well. I do think that Kennen, I don't want to say Kennen is gimmicky, but it feels very difficult to consistently get value out of it in pro play unless you have a flank ward that you can teleport to. You can get the shield from the upgraded teleport and get into the back line. But Sivir has spell shield. Not a lot of great ways to kill the Sivir here is my concern. Because initially it looked like, oh, this is kind of a dive and pick comp, but it also has a Sivir. And it is Duckdom, and we saw what he could do when he scales in game 1. I like DN Supers again.
Well, we'll see what happens in the play as we hop onto the rift for game number 2. And here we go, game number 2 on the way. And sometimes, as you guys probably have heard us say many a time here at the LCK Cup, the gold does not matter, but sometimes also the drafts aren't what matter the most. And especially after game number 1, where it felt like DNS, you know, they had the scaling, they didn't play to it, the team fights were bad. You know, the draft ended up not mattering all too much. BNK had their own win conditions, they were able to play to them a lot better. And, you know, the Kennen, I actually do like the Kennen, you know, especially if we are going to get Mbesso, Wukong, and Rakan all in the back line. Can be very good for disengage. Has a good lane as well. As we're already getting action trading down here in the bottom of the map.
Well, it's like Duckdom thinks that's worth to barrier there because they're going to get the heals coming through. Kellen has Electrocute. Yeah, that's going to be his second proc. He feels very good about this keystone he's picked up here. And this is very common these days on Bard. Sometimes we see the unsealed spellbook, but in a matchup like this where you really want to be min-maxing from level 1, you can see how much value it gets. The barrier's gone already, so Diablo knows he has barrier advantage to push even harder. Level 2 going to go over to BNK bottom side as well first, so looking like we are just going to see a dominant start here.
Yeah, tries to move forward and dodge, but instead just takes a ton of damage from the Gatling gun and the phosphorus bomb.
Incredible
spacing.
heal. Yeah, that was really well played from Diablo. Oh!
Really setting the tone here for game number 2.
I call Worth on that too, to be honest. This is a massive wave. Duckdom is incredibly low.
Now he has to stay. And that's going to make things a bit awkward. I don't know if they can really pressure Maul too much.
They couldn't. I think they should be able to get that plate, right? I'm not going to watch that because we're having a little action up here. Getting the 80 carry quest first was something that before we really got deep into the LCK Cup, we were like, man, you've got to, it's just the only thing that matters. Better get that plate. But it hasn't really impacted the games as much as we thought it would. Obviously affecting things like solo queue a lot more because there's a little bit less coordination there. But see what comes of this, as they ended up getting a ton of value out of it. But I think, again, Worth, I would argue.
Raptor not going to be seen as he's going for the Scuttle Crab. Nice little trade there from Peter. Kind of get that guaranteed Gleaming Quill in as well. But you can see that Diablo is just looking for a back with the way that he is trading this. And we'll see what he does pick up. And, you know, does he want to go for something like a call, or does he want to try to hit those Corki power spikes as early as possible? Probably just pick up a tier.
Yeah, tier longsword if he has all that money. I don't think he quite has enough for this first back, but that would be ideal, I think. Kellen going to play a little defense here. Perhaps a little offense.
He's like, I want to join DNS. I'm getting over there. I'm joining the red team.
Actually, does have the longsword tier, so ends up getting both of those picked up. It's crazy when you think about like pro CS compared to your own games at home. You're like, I don't know if I have enough money on that back. Diablo has the money. He has 28 CS. He is very quickly building that lead. There's the call you were mentioning on the other side, though, for Duckdom.
Yeah,
which I think is incredibly common in a matchup like this, where you're the scaling 80 carry. You want to basically just farm it out and admit that this lane matchup is not really what you drafted for.
Yeah, Corki Bard is difficult, and then when you pick Sivir into it, you're just not going to have a good time early on. So that's the way that's going to go. Kellen looking for Peter, looking for more electric procs. Wants to make that damage number look pretty at the end of the game. But we know that Bard is going to do a lot more than that, hopefully.
What's really cool about this Sivir comp, too, we haven't touched on it just yet, is the Sivir ultimate is so good for setting up the Wukong and the Ambessa in team fights, as well as being a scaling option. I think that's why we're seeing so many drafts like this, where it's just go in. Also, there's a Sivir at the back that's going to do massive amounts of damage. You're going to be in the blender with them if you get hit by that Cyclone.
The blender, you say?
Yes.
Interesting.
Why? What is it?
Oh, I thought it was a blender, but I guess not.
The blender. You're in the blender.
No, it just sounded like you said blender.
Oh, like blinder?
Yeah, I guess kind of.
Blender.
Yeah, blender. Yeah.
Valdez is very
particular.
Yeah, very particular about his pronunciations of these.
It's very important. We do have a bit of a fight over the Drake. Also, Diablo is taking a bunch of damage. So Raptor's like, well, I guess this isn't happening. No early Ocean Drake for us.
Do you remember one of the oldest YouTube series of all time, Will It Blend?
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't
it still going?
I don't know if they still do it or not. I haven't watched it in a while. But as a high schooler, I very much enjoyed it back in the early days of the internet. I felt very betrayed, though, when they did the crowbar and then they didn't actually do the crowbar in the blender.
Really?
Yeah, I felt betrayed.
That sounds like an early form of clickbait.
Yes. At least it didn't send me to Rick Astley, so.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what we're talking about, but, blender, you put something in it, you find out if it works. Yeah. We're going to find out in this game.
I would assume they know about Rick rolls, though. Because if they don't, I mean, that was just too big of a thing. Even if they were very young when it was happening, or I guess for some, not even born.
Wow, that's
also
crazy.
A possibility. As we are going to get some aggression here once again, Duck Dom.
Spell shields it. Not going to care too much. Not going to get hit by that rocket. Going to hit by that rocket. And Peter comes down. And the dragon is still sleeping soundly.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit different in this game. BNK were trying to get those dragons on spawn. They were trying to aggressively take all of the objectives on the map. But in this one, they have Corki, Rise, and even Kennen, who can match scaling very easily.
The
other side.
Ignite Kennen coming through here does add some extra pressure. We haven't been watching that matchup too much, but you can see because of the threat of Ignite, he has a significant lead. But Piotrek has level 6 now. That's going to whiff, though.
Just walk.
Yeah, he doesn't have shoes, but Barefoot Kennen just gets out of there.
I hear it's pretty good for your feet if you don't wear shoes.
Yeah.
Actually. So, maybe clears on to something.
Well, there was a few times where the R buttons just did not work together well for DNS. I think it's a little bit tougher to mess it up this time with the Wukong, at least, and the Rakan, but they are going to have to press R together a little bit better.
Yeah.
This is the first of an attempt that did not work out, and that was really important because that was the one angle Piotrek has to relieve the pressure. We were just talking about the Ignite Kennen, the 20 CS lead. He's like, okay, I'll relieve that pressure. Missed the ult. So now, that should just be Grubs going over to BNK.
And Diablo just going 1v2. Feeling pretty okay about that down there. The Grubs go to BNK, as you mentioned. And Bard is on the roam. Kellen maybe looking for some kind of setup. Piotrek is nearby.
They have
for that first blood. Yeah, I mean, the stun is going to come in, as will the long route to come through, but Piotrek is there, so no kill at least, no force of a flash or summoners.
That's... they didn't get the dragon in exchange, even with the 2v1 in the bottom lane. Kellen was just hanging out in mid. They don't get prio there. Piotrek tries to make the play mid. They do not succeed. And now Raptor's topside because he just took the Grubs. Dude is at half health. And this is going to be a tough dive to pull off, and Peter is coming up to try to cover. I don't think they should go for it. I think the window has just barely been missed. Now Piotrek does get the opportunity to take the dragon. I mean, Peter has flash. He is Rakan. Flash for Dudu. His ult's coming back up. This is a really thin window, I think. Probably just walk away. BNK's tendencies, getting the better of them for a second there, I suppose, but they do make the right choice. And the Dragon looks like it is going to go over here. However,
yeah, they're going to pressure Pyosik out. Apparently, he gets rooted up, and now he's super low, and that's his W gone. Has to flash over the wall, but look at Vikla. He is in there. Wants to get on top of this Wukong, but instead, Pyosik will just get out. Still a nice trade for the side of BNK as Raptor just run from top to bottom and picks up the Dragon as they, okay, they're engaging on the closer now. But it does look like maybe they'll be able to get out of there. Kellen has different ideas, though. The double stun does come through, but now he's got a flash. Diablo also really low. Here comes Closer, jumps off the wall too early. And, yeah, I don't know. No kills. Both teams kind of failed at doing that.
I really think BNK should be a little bit more willing to just take small wins than trying to go for the huge wins, as Raptor in particular.
But instead, they will go in for the fight as Raptor's dead. First blood goes over to Closer, and this time the 2v3 doesn't work out, but maybe the next 2v3 will work out.
I looked at the way that Dragon, I mean, the Dragon health was super high. It gets scouted out, right? And they're like, nah, I don't think he gets this. And then they end up getting the Dragon away. It was a great rotation over. They had full control. They played the aggressive realm warp. But then just, you know, it's okay. You got the Dragon away. You got 3 grubs. Don't have to give a kill. Don't have to give Raptors flash. But ultimately, they don't have any brakes on this vehicle that is BNK, which has kind of always been the trend. Going back to this play, go to the end of it. Raptor is really continuing to stick around. It was a bit missed that we kind of skipped here because the part before this looked pretty good for BNK, but they stayed a little bit long, especially Raptor. He ends up going down. There's a lot of pick in this comp, even with some of those ultimates down, so be cautious.
Yeah. When that trade began, all 3 members of DNS were on Vision. So it's not even like, okay, they caught them off guard. It's just saying, don't mind the Drake setup, just focus on communication and play like you just did. Great job. So there you go. Don't mind it. Just play together, actually team fight, and keep it going.
Yeah. Let's see if this time Dudu can hit the ult.
Maybe if they bait clear in, which they absolutely will, as the Ignite is down, but I think Dudu is just fine. The damage is not enough for clear. It is pretty close, but Pyosik does get in there and picks up the kill. As now Raptor trying to cross map here, but Peter has Duckdom to hop to, and he can get out if he wants to. Doesn't even need to.
That was a bit strange there on the top side. I thought Clear had control vision on Pyosik, but I guess he thought he needed to look for the all-in because he was going to die either way, but I think there was definitely some outplay opportunities there. He could have backed away, had flash, but he dies. And on the bottom side, obviously with Pyosik top side, there's a bit of a hole. And so some plates will go over. As you can see, a small lead has been generated here for Diablo in plates and CS. Pyosik doesn't have ult, so Diablo just knows he's okay to keep pressuring like that. We keep watching the mid lane, but I don't think that Ryze is going to kill Atalia under turret. Like, I guess Pyosik was in the tri-brush when he went for this. It was not actually in the river, so... In Clear's defense, I guess he did not know and was baited.
Yeah, just baited into that one. It was looking good in the 1v1 if Pyosik wasn't there. Clear, no doubt, does get the win. And that's the way it goes. Is now trying to engage here. A double stasis does come through, but Peter is buying a lot of time as the knockback does go on to Vikla, but continuing to trade is BNK. Duckdom makes his way over, and Kellen still looking for it to get the root down, and the ult comes out from Raptor, and that's enough damage to start pushing forward and take down Closer. And now even Pyosik getting pretty low himself, takes the big one, but he does get away.
Could have been worse there for DNS. Only losing Closer in this exchange. A rotation over from Diablo is the most important part of this. And that is going to be 1,000 gold, the advantage now for him over Duckdom in the bottom lane. He's going to even get a free push. Okay, looks like he's going to take the back instead. Thought with knowing the Wukong was topside, he might greed for some more plates, but doesn't opt for it. Initially here, I was like, are we doing it again, BNK? Like, no way. As Peter ends up being able to use his ultimate to get away. And because Duckdom has faster roam from the bottom lane, I did think initially this might have actually been an overextension, but that root onto Closer with the knock up there from Raptor is enough. Diablo goes in with a Valkyrie. And like you said, the play-by-play, that moment was the go button. Pyosik does survive here. And it is a win for BNK. Gold basically dead even as Dudu.
He's got his flash. He is able to ult on over, but Clear also has the flash and the Sun follow-up, so easy kill for Clear. He will collect that, up 25 CS, and now a kill on his laning opponent.
He had everything you really could have asked for as Ambessa. Hits the ult, has his dashes, has flash, and even has the lifeline from the Hex Drinker, and is still killed as his teammates are desperately trying to rotate up. Duckdom didn't have ult. I think even if he does, they don't get there in time, but that's the first turret going over. And Pyosik will try to grab a cross-map dragon here, as Vikla used his Realm Warp to get to the bottom side of the map. I think this time he has enough time, but it's not, you know, really a true fair cross-map because Diablo's getting more plates and the Herald is going over on the top side of the map. As BNK are definitely winning out the macro game here with the lane pressure they have. These small leads for the Corki and the Cannon really make such a big difference when you can make these explosive plays and then take further control around the map.
Oh, and this time it's Hextech Soul, so definitely going to be fighting big time for those, and might put DNS in a rough spot where, you know, Sivir's only on 2 items, but they kind of have to fight for a couple of these Hextech Drakes. Not necessarily what they wanted to see, but at least able to get 1 Drake themselves. And if it does go late enough, should be good.
Sivir got nerfed on this patch. Essence Reaver got nerfed a little bit. I still think that Sivir is really strong and will do a lot in the late game. But I wonder if we get there. As like I mentioned before, Dudu has all the tools. He has ult, he hits it. He's got all of his dashes. He has flash. He has the lifeline. Just still too much damage. Raptor hits the W there, and Clear takes him out. The rest of the team was desperately trying to come up, but weren't able to get there in time. Vikla, nice dodge.
Yeah, and he's going to dodge that too.
Dodge.
The Ghost is very OP against these 2 champs that don't have the easiest, you know, point-and-click CC unless Rakan's going to ult, which he did not. So Vikla just runs it off in that case. And Diablo's going in for a trade. Who could have seen this coming? As now, a bit of a trade in the jungle as well. Pyosik, not the safest Wukong we've ever seen, but we do have TP coming in. Root goes down on a Peter as well. And Clear, behind enemy lines, is just going to run in from top lane and take him down alongside a Raptor, alongside of this tier 1 turret. And now they just run straight into the Bard. Oh no, DNS, this is not what you want to do. Trying to force the fight down a couple of members and just giving more over to BNK.
Starting to look like a bit of a disaster here for DNS in this second game as BNK end up with another massive win in the fight. And I mean, we don't normally do, you know, it's a regular season game that's best of 5. It's weird to think about Palm already here in game 2, but I think everyone's got their eyes on Diablo, but for me, man, it's clear. His performance in game 1 was out of control, and the series is not over even if they do take this win, but he has just been everywhere. Gets ducked on between turrets and prevents DNS from doing any sort of follow-up here. Has his ultimate to drop down, prevents Pyosik's retreat. Vikla is able to use the Bard journey to get out. It's just a clean setup here. Oh, ruthless.
Thankfully, they cut out that last part of the replay because it was 5v3. The mid lane was it had like 1 health, and the 2 of them just round the corner. They saw the Bard, and they just ran straight into the stun just to add insult to their own injury. So DNS kind of floundering, and BNK, they eat teams like this for breakfast. Now, game 1 might tell you a little bit of a different story, but generally, you know, when they're ahead, they love to push their leads. They love to just get in there, force you to make mistakes, and feel not confident in your position. And that's exactly where we're at. 18 minutes in, already 5,000 gold ahead is BNK. And the entire map is theirs. As Dudu, again, does not get to survive, not even going up against the Kennen, but doesn't really get to do much. As now they're looking for Diablo, who does look very caught. And we do have the Bard ultimate to come down with the Realm Warp, but Diablo's eating tons of damage. That's a shutdown for Pyosik, but here comes the flank as Clear is looking for it. Only really going to get Pyosik, but it's good enough. Goes over the wall, does Raptor. Gets knocked up into the air, and it looks like Closer's not very long for this world. As Duckdom also trying to run away from this. 1 auto gets it done, and Dudu even tries to ult in, but misses. And it's getting even messier, Wolf.
Dudu is having a bit of a rough one in this game. Really just not finding anything he wants.
And I think it's more of the year of Vikla.
Yeah, it's looking that way right now.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the game of Dudu.
No.
That one is very clear. Speaking of clear, guys popping off 10 stacks, by the way, on Darksteel now. And that, I think, might be the beginning of the end of this one. You know, there's just not a whole lot you can stand on here in this composition anymore when you just can't engage. Like, this is the best chance they're ever going to get. And this ult from Kellen, like, Bard Ultimate can set up combos, but in pro play, more often than not, it's used to buy time for rotations. That's why T1 is so iconic with this pick. They have some of the most aggressive rotations on situations where it looks like they're outnumbered, and then Keria buys a ton of time with Bard. This is a similar situation with Kellen, where he's just like, all right, my team's coming, my Kennen is coming. And you got the kill on the Corki, but was it worth it? The answer is absolutely not. And now it's a 7,000 gold lead pre-20, and BNK are running away with this series.
Yeah, we've had a lot of our series in the last couple of weeks be kind of very slow, grindy ones that do get some decent gold leads that then get thrown back. Game 1 was a little bit like that, but eventually BNK kind of took control of themselves. But this one doesn't really feel like we're going in that direction. This one actually does feel like the gold matters. When you have this Corki on 2 items, you've got the Xin Zhao very far ahead. The Kennen is just unanswerable.
I mean, the gold matters a ton for the sides, right? And the fact that it's not playable for either solo lane or for DNS. But beyond that, I mean, okay, we're going to see one attempt.
Trying to get on top of Vikla here, who is going to Ghost and just kind of tank it all, and now he's just running away, and they're not fast enough. The flash does come through, as Closer had to use his own Ghost and Flash to make that happen. Gunblade and Dudu does not exist anymore, has to flash away himself, but instead, we do have Clear just kind of taking him down. One more Q, gets it done, doesn't even need it. As Clear with the solo kill.
Gotta spend so many resources to kill one solo laner on the other side.
We're trying to kill Raptor now as we have another Bard ult coming in. It's not a very clean game, but it's clean enough for BNK standards, they'll say. The shutdown does go to Closer, but Kellen's looking for his own kill. Meanwhile, Clear trying to take a 1-for-1 against Duckdom. Did not have to do that, but just kind of dies and gives 1,000 gold to Duckdom.
All right, well, a gold lead shrinks by 1,000. But, you know, what I was saying before all this craziness happened where Pyosik jumped out of the brush was the gold matters, but the map control matters. There's, like, so little that DNS can do to find this angle. They found one, right? Pyosik jumps out of the brush. They catch the overextending rise. And those types of opportunities are 1 in a million in a game state like this where you have no vision anywhere, really. And so they find that. Does cost them big on the top side. And Clear is, like, eating turret damage trying to kill a 3 levels down Sivir here.
Did not have to do this.
Tools because he uses them to, like, he doesn't have ult, isn't. Well, that's 1,000 gold to shut down 2 Duckdom, which is, I think if this game was a little bit closer, it could have actually been horrible for BNK. I still think it's significant if BNK mess up again, but I think they like their chance of taking this Baron either way. I don't think that alone is enough to get DNS back in this game.
Yeah, you can see that DNS know this is going on, but Pyosik, he just did the blue. So it's not really like they have a good way to get in here, as now they see it in its entirety, as there's the Baron going the way to BNK, and Closer is just kind of dead. So maybe they didn't know. I mean, there were a bunch of pings that came down, but the reaction to it was like very half and half. You know, Closer's going in trying to do something, but then the rest, like, we have Pyosik taking the Raptors of the enemy team. Like,
I don't really know what the game plan was there. I think they're thinking about Game 3, Valdez.
Yeah.
And so am I, as this will likely be the push to break the base and maybe even end the game. We're only 23 minutes in, but they have pretty insane siege with this Rise.
Yeah, the Rise, the Kennen, the Corki, and the Bard. This is not, you know, KT's position where they were up 14k with, like, Akali and I don't even know what else they had. It was like Ambessa or something.
Rek'Sai
had to dive.
Yeah, Rek'Sai. It was not.
This is a really good sieging comp, so I'm glad you do mention it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great sieging comp, and it gets them all the vision back. I mean, they didn't lose that much of it, but in Closer's case, you know, he had Weaver's Wall, but alone, you know, he doesn't have Smite, can't really stop the Baron. Perhaps just identifying that it was being taken so that they could try to make something happen on the bottom side of the map, but there wasn't anything up there. There isn't really a good play to make if you are the DN Supers at this point, if I could speak frankly but also politely, because you know, when Closer dies there, it's like, what is he doing? But what can he do? That's maybe the more appropriate question. Like, what is there to do? What correct choice is there to make? If you sit and hide and hope the Sivir gets 3 items when you're looking at a near 4 item Corki on the other side, you know, that doesn't seem like it's really going to be a winning strategy long term either. Brush it under the rug, that 7,000 gold lead. Maybe maybe no one will notice. Maybe we'll just survive.
I mean, they're trying to do, you know, the Sivir Talia in this case. The classic is Azir and Sivir. Just clear all the waves and survive for as long as possible. But this is BNK, right? It's not KT who are feeling like, oh, I don't know what to do. They will dive you, for better or for worse. As speaking of which, it's DNS that get the engage going here. Clear just going to Zhonya's, but the Wukong ult on top means that Clear is dead. At the same time, Dudu does go down, but that's a good trade, honestly, for the side of DNS. But now you don't have the quickness. That's a kill on the Bard, as they are taking quite a lot of turret shots. Like I said, BNK not scared to just do this, and it is not clean. But they might just get the win here as a ton of damage goes into Duck Dom, and they don't exactly get the win in the fight, but the Nexus turrets are down, and I think they'll win the game despite themselves, as Diablo is Valkyrieing in, and he will die as the Nexus is going to go down, right? No, Raptor goes in, he's looking for the trade instead, and the Nexus denies him. So 2-0 to BNK.
But it is unfortunately not enough. There's too many minions, and when I watched that play from BNK, although it's not the cleanest, right, and it is perhaps like the type of play that makes a lot of more conservative coaches really like grab onto their chairs tightly and be like, no, just win for sure. Never take the 80% chance to win, take only the 100% chance to win. When I think about this being so early in the season for BNK, they're making these aggressive plays, they're confident to make these types of moves into this comp that has Talia Sivir, like you were saying, a lot of engage, and they still outplay it. They basically win the game on insane hard mode with the lead they have. That's almost like good training, you know? If you can learn to coordinate this well and play through lane pressure this well, I think it's a good sign for what is to come in a longer year here of 2026. The coordination is...
쪽 찌르면 봐줘.
봐줄게. 연결된 느낌 받아야 돼. 나본다. 봐줄게. 못 봐줄게. 잘 봐. 빨면서.
안 뺏어.
확인했다.
야, 이겨.
다시 하자.
막타
노공 노공이야. 활력표 한 번. 나 3타 쌓을게. 나 죽었어.
뭐야?
사이버는 공공 볼게. 잘해봐. 야, 잘 해봐 이거. 잘 해봐. 이거. 쎄. 탑타워 해도 돼. 11호만 잡을 수 있나? 미스탑 해도 돼. 라인 들어가고 타워 칠게 이거.
타워 쳐볼래? 얘네 근데 다 상태가 거지긴 한데.
끝나냐?
끝날 듯. 달려 노플.
나 타워 칠게 내가.
달려 노플이야. 타워 쳐.
나 타워 칠게.
내가 혼자 할 수 있어.
11호 노플.
달려 이제 풀도 써.
끝내줘. 이제 아깝네.
배리 없어.